Good afternoon, everybody. Am I audible to all?
Yes, good.
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Yes, you're audible, ma'am.
So we may begin our session. So today we have with us Mr. Pawan Kumar ji. He's an associate director at Plaksha University. We all have witnessed one insightful session which he has given earlier. So today he'll throw light on total addressable market. Please be attentive during the session. I'll pass this to Mr. Pawan Kumar ji. You can continue with the session.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Just give me a minute. I'm setting up my presentation. Yeah, hi, good evening. Pleasure to be speaking to you this evening, and appreciate you joining on a Sunday evening to learn about market sizing. Let me just put up the presentation and then we can start discussion. Okay, is my slide visible? Can someone confirm?
Yes, sir. We can see.
And slide is moving, right? For both of you?
No slide. No, we can't change the movement. Can you try one more time?
I'm changing slides. Is it changing for you?
No, sir. Not at the moment. We can see the first slide.
Okay, now is it changing?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, welcome to the session, and it was communicated, we're going to discuss about total addressable market and some related topics to this term. So I believe since most of you are trying to create a startup and maybe find a commercializable technology to take it to market, so this might help you in understanding how to identify your market and how to kind of size the opportunity, which is very, very important if you are going to pitch it to investors to raise some funds. So overall, this is a quite relevant and important topic for you to learn and know if you want to raise funds for your startup. So I hope it will be helpful to you to kind of educate you on this topic. So I'm going to talk about this for about 25 to 30 minutes, and then for last, can you mute? I'm getting some noise. Okay, so this and in the last half an hour, maybe 25 minutes, you can ask any question and we can discuss in a very, very informal manner as you may want it. To start with, just a quick background, I'm a management professional. I graduated from IIM Indore in 2012, and since then I'm working in higher education space in various administrative roles. Currently, I'm director at Plaksha University and kind of driving growth initiatives. Yeah, okay. Coming to what is TAM, as we call it in the short form, Total Addressable Market. Does anyone have an idea? Have you heard this term, and do you already have some uh, understanding of what it might be? Would you like to share what is your current understanding?
Yes, sir. We have heard this name TAM, SAM, and SOM.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So what is it? Do you know something about it?
About TAM is it's a total market, right? Means
Hmm.
the market size maybe.
Yeah, okay.
But other thing we are
Total
not
market size.
so clear.
Okay.
Yeah. Other SEAM and
Okay.
SOM we are not
Okay.
that clear.
I believe it's
Okay.
more
Got it.
connected to the revenue, how much revenue that product or service can generate out of it.
Okay. Yeah. So the matrix to calculate is the revenue, but yeah, overall it's a total market. We'll come to it. Okay. Let me just uh, run you through some of the definitions and kind of information related to this term, and then we'll come to it. Like you said, it's the total market, as we say, entirety of the market is what we call uh, TAM as. So, and you rightly also pointed out that the way to calculate is through revenue. So it's the total market size or revenue opportunity which is available for any product or service, right? Based on the potential customer base you may have. So it's like if you are able to capture 100% market, like every customer which is buying the product or service buys your product or your service, then how much revenue would you have, or what is the maximum revenue you can make in a market by selling any product or service? So that's what TAM is. It's like it also means like how much money is on the table for you if every customer bought your product or service, right? Now, it is very important because whenever you are kind of planning, especially when you are at an initial stage of idea, it is important to know what is the potential of your business, right? You may not get the opportunity right away, but at least to know that there is a potential for this product or service to grow. That's enough for you to really validate your idea and invest your money, your resources, your time into it. But if your initial assessment says that total market is not big enough, then it's like uh, it may not be a good idea to invest disproportionate amount of resources in that. So that's the utility of kind of TAM, how it is important. Then there are some other terms. For example, second to TAM is what is called serviceable available market. Now, serviceable available market means, say, total market might be say 100 units, let's hypothetically say, but keeping in mind your product or service or your access or your resource limitation, whatever is the potential for you to service within that market. So that could be called as a serviceable available market. For example, uh, say you for example, say total market for cars may be 1,000 units in the world, but maybe whatever is your technology, it is not possible for you to sell cars in Korea or maybe in Europe. So which means that wherever is your access available, say you are only available for India, which means that out of 1,000 units, your serviceable available market would be whatever number of units would get sold in India, let's say 200 out of 1,000. So that's your serviceable available market. And then there is another term which is called obtainable market, which is essentially what is your target to reach out to. For example, your access to Indian market is 200 units, which you can service, but maybe you don't have a manufacturing plant to make 200 units in a year, which is say only 100 units a year. So which means for you, obtainable market is 100 units, which could be potentially be your target for that group. So I hope it clarifies three terms. One is the total market, which is TAM. Second is whatever is accessible to you. You may be able to sell to that thing. So that's SAM. And then SOM is serviceable obtainable market, is wherever you, whatever is your capacity to capture within that SAM is your obtainable market, right? So this is the broad definition where we are getting started. I hope it is clear. Any questions by anyone on this? Is it clear to everyone? Did we move forward?
Yes, sir.
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay, now how do we define our total market? Now, what are the ways to define it? Now, if you have to define your total market, which means you will have to define the boundaries of the market, like within which you are defining, only then you can define it. Now, what are the possible boundaries which typically are needed to define your TAM? First is the consumer segment. You will have to very, very clearly and categorically define who is your consumer. We discussed a bit about it in my last session with you, that who are your consumer segments, right? For which product, whatever product and service you are setting. So that's one definition which is needed. I'll elaborate that in my next slide as well. Second is a geographical reach. Now you may want to define what is your geographical reach. Now again, that could be defined in many ways. It could be defined in countries, it could be defined in cities, states, urban, rural, various facets of geographical reach you may want to define. Third is time frame. So you have to define time frame. So if you say total addressable market for my product or service is 100 crores in 1 year or in 2 years or in 3 years. So because it cannot be open-ended, like you cannot say I will sell whatever 100 crores in, I don't know what time frame, say 50 years or 40 years. So you have to define very clear time frame for your product. And then there is a product definition, which means what is your, now for example, product could be multiple kind of thing. For example, if we are talking about cars, now cars which you are making could have multiple variants. So you will have to clearly define which product are you talking about, for which you are defining TAM. So these are some boundaries which you need to define at the start of your journey in a startup. Then it will allow you to put some numbers based on these boundaries and arrive at a definition of your market, or maybe a size of your market. Now let's look at how do we do it. Now, for example, customer segment. How do you define customer segment? You could define customer segment based on multiple parameters. You could define it on usage patterns, maybe heavy users versus medium users versus low users. For example, social media, you could define more than 5 hours per day were, say, heavy users. Maybe 1 to 5 hours are medium users, less than 1 hour per day are low users. Cars, you may define people who drive more than 50 kilometers a day are heavy users. Maybe people who drive 10 to maybe 20 kilometers, 30 kilometers are medium users, and less than 10 kilometers per day are low users. So usage pattern is one very important criteria based on which you could define. Demographic segmentation, which could mean age, gender, income, education level, type of profession, various type of demographic indicators you can use. You can have behavioral segmentation. Behavioral could be very relevant for certain categories. For example, technology. Some people are very tech savvy. Some people are not tech savvy. Some people are very kind of experimentative. So they buy the latest versions of phone, the latest versions of cars. Some people buy when it is already, say, a proven good product. So based on various buying behaviors, you could segment your market. So these are different type of kind of indicators which you can use to define your segment. For example, and then each one of them would have subcategories, like you could dig deeper. For example, you have demographics here. Now demographics could be what? Gender, it could be income. Say your target segment is low income people or medium income people or high income people. It could be age. Are you targeting adults, teenagers, youngsters, senior citizens? It could be, say occupation or job type. Are you targeting people who are into white collar jobs or blue collar jobs or businesses or gig economy kind of jobs? So could define based on profession. Various family, maybe your product is relevant for people who have family, who have children, or maybe it's relevant to people who are, say, single parents or maybe nuclear families. Again, various level, education level. Maybe your product is relevant for educated people or uneducated people. So various segments, indicators you can use to define your market segment. Similarly, geography could be another way. So now geography could be location. Say my product is relevant for people who are living on the hill states, maybe Shimla or maybe Himachal or Uttarakhand or Northeast. Or maybe it's only relevant for people living in metros, or maybe people living in, say, old areas, maybe people living on coastal areas. So your location could be one indicator, or it could be population density. Maybe say it is relevant for people where population density is high. For example, if you're Ola and Uber now, this service, taxi service, app-based taxi service would be relevant where population density is very high, because it's a capital intensive kind of service where somebody has to put up a 20 lakh rupees car to give you service. So, and which means the utilization has to be quite significant to generate enough ROI, which means it may be relevant only where there is a significant population density. It may not be relevant to, say, hills or rural areas, because total occupancy or service demand might not be as high. So depending on what you are selling, you could define it on various geographies. Climate or season, maybe. If you are have more, so which means you're selling ice cream, so you could say my product is relevant only for areas where average temperature is more than 20 degrees centigrade, something like that. Or maybe you're selling something which is seasonal in nature. Maybe you're selling, say, some rainy season stuff or winter season stuff. So would again define based on the geographies. Language. Many people have products which are targeted to certain language categories, where which is like, I would say, it's my product is relevant to people. To geographies where Hindi speaking people is like a significant percentage of population, or vice versa. English speaking could be the criteria. So all in all, you got to define your geography, customer segment, kind of things to know what is the market you are calculating for. Understood? Any questions? Is it clear so far? Hello, you need to confirm. I can't
Yes, sir.
like
Yes, sir, is clear.
guess if it is okay. These are like, I just copied some sample performers. Uh, these were one of the pharma companies had like done it in their presentation. This is how you define your customers. So, for example, for a pharma company, doctors are main kind of customer segment. They target doctors because they recommend their medicines to their patients. So, for example, this is how they define. So, relevant customer persona could be like Dr. Sara, which has 8 years of practice in oncology. Maybe her specialization is breast cancer, and currently she's recommending a competitor drug to her patients. Now, then you could also define a little bit more on the, you know, uh, on that customer. Maybe she values collaboration. She reads about new research. She's innovative. She tries new things. So these things are important for you to strategize. So because once you know that, okay, she's interested in new research, you could potentially start sending her something related to new research. Or maybe you could try to sponsor her to travel to a conference, research conference, on behalf of your company. So all these things as much detail as you know about your consumer, this would help you in designing a very, very customized marketing strategy for your consumer. Just quickly read through it. It was just to give you an indication of how to define your customer segments. Okay. Okay, now this was about the definitions and the concepts. Now let's look at how to calculate TAM if you are planning your product service, how to calculate TAM for your product or service. So these are some steps, like I said, it starts by defining your market, your target market, which is like who are your customers based on demographic, geography, etc. You define your customer. Then once you have defined who is your customer, then you got to estimate total number of potential customers. Like, for example, if you define your customer as say an educated uh, person between age of 20 to 40 years living in say tier 1 and metro cities, and maybe they are into certain kind of white collar jobs, so for whatever, so you could define in whichever way. Once you have done that, next step is you try to estimate how many such people exist on in the geography which you are targeting. Now, how to do that? There are, I'll take you through that method. There are two ways. One is you get such data from some sources, which could be industry reports or some census data, or you do a survey. Second is you could do a little bit of guessing around it. I'll teach you the technique in subsequent slides. Once you have identified or calculated number of customers, then next step is to know what is your market share potential. For example, if you say there are, as per your definition, there are 150 consumers or say customers who may want to buy this product, then what is the market share estimate which you do? Now, it would depend on competitive pricing, how good your product is compared to competition, what is your price, how accessible it is to all these factors. So that would again need you to make a calculated guess. Then you need to multiply, um, say you have 150 total customers. Now you say in resources I have, maybe I can reach 30% market share, in 2 years, which means 30% of 150, say 50 customers is what you think you can reach. Then you not to know what is the average purchase value of a customer for your product or service annually. For example, if you are selling say a gadget, maybe is it bought once a year or people buy it many times, or if you're selling say Ola app or kind of cab service, you need to see what is the total spend by any typical customer in a year on a cab service. Then you multiply your number of potential customers with the average purchase value, you get your total market size which you can capture. This is a broad kind of calculation which you can use. Now, in this method, the most important part is first is to define your customer, which I have just shared. Second is to know what is the total number of customers which you can have. This is the most important part. Now, how to do that? We'll just look at that. There are two ways. One is a top-down approach. Second is a bottom-up approach. Top-down approach is you get this data from some source, which could be an industry report, which could be a market research done by somebody, which could be, say, if it's a mature market, there are already players in it, then people would have published it in their annual reports about what is the market size. For example, if you are planning to launch a car, so you already have a lot of car companies selling their products. You could go to annual reports of Tata Motors or Maruti or Hyundai. They would have mentioned a lot of information, data around what is the market size for this, and you could use that. Or there are a lot of industry reports which you can use. That's called top-down approach, when you are kind of aggregating the market size from the top, right? Next is and in most established industries, this top-down approach works, which is you will have enough data available to make a estimate of your market. Second is a bottoms-up approach, which means where you don't have such accurate or comprehensive data about your industry available. So you are creating a new type of um, say earpod. Now maybe you may not have companies publishing enough reports on earpod, or maybe it's further a new type of smartwatch. So there are not many old companies, and there is no market research which has happened enough, because it's a growing and a new industry. So in that sense, you need to take a bottom-up approach in which you kind of make some assumptions about customers and then calculate number of customers which potentially could be buying your product or service. We'll do some examples of this approach in a while. Okay, so broadly the formula is, what is the average customer spend per visit, say, or per whatever, whenever they visit your store. It's like how much they pay you uh, when they visit you. Say, let's take same example, Ola ride. Maybe I pay $10 per ride, right? Now, what is the anticipated frequency of service? Is it once a month, once a week kind of thing? Let's say I book Ola once a week kind of thing, which means my dollar spend would be $10 per ride into 52 weeks. So I take once a week on an average. So $520 is my, say, average spend. Okay, now this becomes 520. Then you say total number of customers in your segment. This you would have calculated, in a in a separate way. So you multiply total spend by a customer 520 into total customers. So there are 1 crore customers like me who would like to avail Ola. So which means total addressable market for Ola becomes 520 crores, in a year. Now this is if you capture 100% of this market. But like I mentioned, it may not be possible for any company to capture 100%. They will have some resource limitations, penetration limitations, service limitations. So they would then calculate, okay, I can maybe try to capture 30%, 40% market share of this total market, which would then give you a market opportunity size for your company. But this is broad, simple framework in which you got to calculate your TAM. Is it clear? Is it understandable to you?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay, good. Okay, I'm just taking a minute break. I'll be right back. Yeah, sorry, I got some work. Okay, let me just start sharing and okay, is my slide visible? Sorry, I'm confirming again.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so this was a broad overview of how to calculate TAM. Right now, why is TAM important? Like I said, one, it gives you and guidance on investment and business strategy, like is it a worth going market or not, right? Second, TAM is very dynamic. Like, for example, you may start with one product, but you may start expanding your product portfolio, in which case your customer segment would increase and your TAM would increase. So, but that's a journey in a startup's life, so you can expect your TAM. For example, when Zomato started, it started as a restaurant listing platform. Then they started delivering food, which means their their TAM was people who order food from home. But now they have started booking reservation for say dining kind of experiences also now, which means their customer has become everybody who orders or eats food outside is their customer. So this way your TAM might increase or decrease in future depending on your business expansion or focus on your customers. Uh, but at any point of time when you're starting, you will define your TAM in certain boundaries, which we discussed. And why it is important, it helps you allocate resources, prioritize markets. You may say, okay, this is one market which I want to go first, and then maybe I'll go to second market later. So these kind of things can be decided. Okay, let me skip this. We'll come to these slides later. Okay, now you might have noted among all these calculations that we looked at, the most important question is, how do I know how many customers would buy my product or they are potential buyers? Because that's a very important number which you need to calculate your TAM. And many times you may not get that in any reports or on internet, for especially for new kind of products or technology innovation, which say you are trying to kind of patent and kind of commercialize. So in that case, how do we do? Then in that cases, there is an approach which is used to market to size the market, and this is called guesstimations. Have you heard of this term, guesstimation? Any one of you?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay. Now a very commonsensical question: what is guesstimation made of? Two words which it is made from. Which are those?
Guess and estimations.
Yes. So like it says, guesstimation is what? Guess plus estimation. Okay. Now what is the difference? If anyone would like to tell, what is the difference between guess and estimate, or are they same? सुना है ना दोनों वर्ड? Guess भी सुना है, estimate भी सुना है. क्या फर्क होता है दोनों में?
I think guess is a random number, whereas estimate gives us a concrete idea of anything.
Okay. Guess, is it random? Guess is what?
Guess is analyzed on certain thing, but we come up with a random, conclusion after making a guess.
Okay. How do you make a guess? जैसे हम बोलते हैं ना, guess किया मैंने या guess कर रहे. Guess करने के what is the basis? On what basis do you guess something?
I think analyze is the one of the factor which makes a guess. First we analyze the thing or situation, then we create a guess on that, the background of the situation. Analysis.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else?
It's based on
Anyone else
analysis.
would like to
The
tell what is a
guess.
guess?
I think estimation is a detailed guess.
It's a detailed guess. Okay. Guess क्या होता है? चलो पहले खाली guess का बताओ.
Guess आपने सोचा कि मतलब vague idea is the guess basically. Whatever you think, if you analyze all the things like You have to build a house.
Hmm.
Then you need many
Hmm.
things, right? One is that
Hmm.
I will build house in 40 lakhs. The other is saying
Hmm.
you guess about everything and then total guess. Basically, I think it's a total guess.
Okay.
We
Okay.
can say guess is a kind of hypothesis. We make an hypothesis of anything. That's a guess.
Okay.
Predicting something out of our interest.
सो नो दैट्स ट्रू आप प्रेडिक्ट कर रहे हो बट मेरा क्वेश्चन है कि गैस का बेसिस क्या होता है जैसे इन्होंने कहा कि हम घर बनाना है तो मैंने कहा 40 लाख लगेगा तो आपने 40 क्यों बोला 60 क्यों नहीं बोला या 80 क्यों नहीं बोला व्हाट इज द बेसिस ऑफ योर गैस
It is based on the current knowledge.
Knowledge or past
yeah
experience, something like that. No?
yes
That's what
that's right
how you guess. Otherwise, you cannot guess anything.
yeah that's right so that's the point I wanted to bring to guess is something which we make based on our past experience or past knowledge and estimate is something which we do some analysis and do some calculations, mathematical calculations, and arrive at a number. So when you combine both, that becomes guesstimation, which means you are bringing your past knowledge, and then based on that past knowledge, you are doing some estimation by applying some mathematical logic to arrive at a number. Now let's look at with the help of an example. You know what is exactly guesstimation. So where are they used? First, let's understand. So these are used when you want to quantify a market based on some logical assumptions and your market awareness. So that's a broad definition of what is a guesstimate. Now, for example, if I give you these questions, say how many people purchase iPhone every day in India? How many people travel in train every day, every month in Delhi? What's the market size for men deo in Chandigarh? Or how many salons are there in New Delhi? Can you kind of try to answer these? Are these questions answerable? First, tell me that. If yes, how? Pick any question. Let's say if I ask you, let's take question number 4. How many salons are there in Delhi? Let's say in Chandigarh to give you better context because you are living here. Chandigarh में कितने salons होंगे? Can we answer this question?
Around 100.
Okay. Anyone else? Do you agree with her? Is it more than 100, less than 100, or 100 is the right answer? Yes, please share. I mean, these are very common sensical questions. So आपको any one of you can share. It's not. कितने होंगे आपको अगर पता लगाना हो कितने सैलून्स हैं चंडीगढ़ में कैसे लगाओगे? Can you guess?
Sir,
We'll see how
generally,
many sectors are there and average saloon per sector, let us say, comes out to you. There may be 1, 2, or 3 saloons in a sector. There are many sectors where there is no saloon. So that's only based on the experience. Basically, you can say 1.5, maybe 2 saloons per sector. So there are 50 sectors in Chandigarh. So that's you can say 100 is a good guess.
Okay. Yeah. What's your name? Sorry, I can't see any one of you, so I don't know who is speaking.
I am Professor Jindal from Punjab Engineering College, Chandigarh.
Okay. Okay. So it's a fair approach. Say I would say how many sectors are there in Chandigarh, and I'll take an assumption how many salons in a sector. That's right approach. Anyone else would like to take a shot at it?
सर 1 किलोमीटर को काउंट कर लेंगे इस 1 स्क्वायर किलोमीटर में कितने सैलून है उसको टोटल चंडीगढ़ के एरिया से मल्टीप्लाई करके एडिट कर
Yeah, that's again a method to do it. So you calculate, say how you take an assumption of how many salons are there in a square kilometer area, and then you multiply it by number of kind of the total area of Chandigarh, right? So broadly now, if we look at these two methods, what are you doing? Essentially, one, you are bringing in your previous knowledge, right? For example, what Professor Jindal answered, what is his previous knowledge? He knows how many sectors are there in Chandigarh. So that's a previous knowledge. So there are 51 sectors in Chandigarh. So that's one. Second, he's saying that there are 3 salons in a sector. Now that because he lives here, he he can make a educated assumption about how many salons are there in a Chandigarh. Somebody could say 10 salons in a sector, but that number is basically coming from your previous knowledge. And then maybe if you do little more analytical, you could say, okay, out of 50 sectors, there are 10 sectors which would have high density of saloons because they are in the center of the city. Maybe there are 20 sectors which are average in population density, and maybe there are 10 sectors which are very sparsely populated, say on the maybe industrial area or maybe near the lake. So you could further apply your knowledge of the city to make a little bit of categorization of the city. And then you could say for densely populated sectors like sector 15, sector 22, sector 35, so there are 10 such sectors. Maybe there are at least 10 salons in each sector, which means 10 into 10, 100 salons. Then for medium densely populated sectors, you could say there are 5 salons. So 5 into 20, another 100. And for sparsely populated sectors, maybe there are 2 salons per sector. So 10 into 220. So total would become 100 plus 100 plus 20, 220. So this is how you are kind of approach. So you have a previous knowledge, which is a guess part of it. And then you are making some little bit of weighted average calculation, which means you're estimating it and arriving at a number. So this is how exactly you do. This is a bottom-up approach where you bring in your knowledge and apply it to do it. Okay, let's look at, okay, I'll come to why it is important, but let's look at an example. For example, if I ask you how many cars are there in Delhi, like this is a solved example. So this is how somebody can do it. So maybe you will say, okay, what are the consumer segments for cars? Maybe there are individuals, people who own cars. Then there are some taxi owners, maybe who own car, and then there are institutions who have institutional vehicles. So for each segment, you will do a little bit of prior knowledge and then exhibition. Now, what is prior knowledge? Population of Delhi is 1.5 crores. So I know 15 million. Average family size is 5. So which means there are 3 million families. Now, what is the car purchasing power in Delhi? Maybe 40% families can afford to buy a car. This is again previous knowledge of my, which I'm bringing in. So which means there are 12 lakh families out of out of 30 lakh families which can purchase a car. Okay, now how many cars in a family? Average, there are 2 cars in a family in Delhi, which means individually people own 24 lakh cars, right? Then second segment is taxi owners. Now taxi could be within the city, outside the city. Again, you are bringing in a little bit of an assumption. Say there are typically maybe there will be 2 taxis per 100 say population. Again, there will be 3 lakh taxis. And then institutions, similar, like let's assume there is 1 institution per 100 population. So which means there are 1.5 institutions and 1.5 lakh institutions. And each institution on an average would have 2 vehicles, which means 3 lakh cars. You sum it up, you get about 30 lakh cars in Delhi. Again, don't look at the numbers, they may be wrong. You might have a better prior knowledge than somebody who has done this. But overall, this is a method in which you can estimate number of customers of your product if you don't have any published data on this. And this approach can be applied on any customer segment, just that you will have to gain a little bit of prior knowledge to do this guessing and estimation, right? Is it clear? Are you able to follow the example and the approach? Any questions by anyone?
No, sir.
समझ आ रहा है? Please, anyone जिसको कुछ नहीं आ रहा समझ, please ask me. You can ask. I can repeat or I can answer your query if you have. Are we good?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So broadly, what is the approach? This is, you could again, so sorry, yeah, there are two ways in which you can do it. One is you can take a supply side approach. Second is you can take a demand side approach. जो अभी हमने this example हमने लिया है, this is a supply side approach, which is like how many people own that entity. We are estimating number of cars which exist in Delhi. So this is demand side approach. Now supply side approach could be who are the suppliers of cars, car companies. Like we could say there are maybe 10 companies which manufacture car. Again, your prior knowledge, you would know that there are 10 car companies, and say average any car company would have say 50 say showrooms in Delhi, which means there are about 500 car showrooms in Delhi. And which means if a car, if in any typical showroom would sell 10 cars in a year, which means there are 500 into 10, there are 5,000 cars which are sold in Delhi in a month. So that's a supply side approach, when which you are guessing the number of products or service in demand because you know suppliers of it. But this can only apply when the industry is very established and mature. You know which are the top players, how many top players are there. Mostly it will work in a consolidated kind of market. For example, cars or telecom or petrochemical. So where there are limited number of players and you could estimate or you could know their revenues or sales volumes from their annual reports. That's a way in which you can use supply side. But if you don't know supply side numbers or the industry is very fragmented, then you could go by demand side approach, which is you estimate number of customers of any product or service. So broadly, you decide your approach, then you identify your user segments, put some reasonable knowledge which you have, and then you could just do a little bit of mathematical calculations to arrive at a number. This number would not be, I'm not saying this, like we're not doing a GK thing here. It's not for example, this 30 lakh cars in a Delhi might not be correct number, but it can vary by 15, maybe 10%. But if your numbers, if you're reasonable, aware about the geography, about the market, and you are doing a little bit of good logical mathematical calculations, it won't be very wrong. It's not like there are 1 crore cars and you are calculating 30 lakh cars. If that is so, then maybe your previous knowledge was very bad. That's all would be concluded. Clear? Are we good so far?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, now can you apply this approach to whichever product or kind of service you're targeting? I'm sure you are already working on some idea. So I'll stop for a minute or two to allow you to think about this approach for your area. Right? Can we do that? Whatever you're making, try to apply this into your area. Like if आपको अगर वो calculation करना हो, तो आप कैसे करोगे? If you want to write down some numbers, also you can do that. But apply this to your area. That's very important. And if you face any problem, just ask me. If you want a discussion on it.
Sir,
Yes.
hello.
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
Yeah, I have a doubt. So we are a D2C actually. We work on the sunscreen. So it's a very deep tech biotech startup. So basically, we work on the active ingredient for skincare formulations. That's how we started a sunscreen. So if you take a sunscreen, we know the target audience, the women, working women from tier 1, tier 2 city with the age of 25 to 40. So how can I calculate the working women, particularly in Chandigarh or Gurgaon? From where I can take a data or a rough even imagine even the imaginary number also I'm not sure how to calculate.
No, you don't have to imagine. You have to arrive at it from some number. Say this exact number may not be available anywhere, but you will get this number based on some other numbers which are available. Okay, now let's do this example live. How do you think you can calculate? आपको क्या number अगर मिल जाए which you can use to calculate number of women who would use sunscreen in say Chandigarh? What do you think is needed to arrive at this number?
I didn't get, sir, sorry.
नहीं, मैं कह रहा हूँ आपको एग्जैक्ट नंबर नहीं पता कितने विमेन सनस्क्रीन लगाते हैं चंडीगढ़ में, विच इज फाइन, बट आपको ये नंबर जानने के लिए ऐसा कौन सा नंबर है या कोई और कौन से फैक्ट्स है, अगर वो आपको मिल जाएं तो आप ये कैलकुलेट कर लोगे.
You can speak in English. I am very comfortable. I am not so good in Hindi actually.
Okay, no problem. So I'm saying you don't know this number, but if you have to calculate this number based on some other numbers,
Yes,
what do
yeah.
you need? What kind of information would help you arrive at this number? What is the definition of your customer? So you're saying, okay, it's women in terms of gender.
Yeah.
What else?
From
What else?
tier 1
What are the parameters?
and age between 25
Okay,
to
so
40, working women.
okay, working 25 to 40. Then in let's say we are calculating for Chandigarh, tier 1, tier 2 doesn't apply. Okay, what else? Any other definition of your consumer? One is age,
Most
second is gender, third is working.
most probably they will be a mother because the age is.
Okay, okay.
So it's a
But being
premium.
a mother is not a criteria. Age is a criteria, I think,
Okay.
there to use a sunscreen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Is income relevant for you?
Yeah, of course, it should be like monthly income 1 to 1.5 minimum because a premium product.
Okay, 1 to 1.5 LPA is your monthly income is your. Okay. Now, अब आपको अगर number of customers निकालने हैं which qualify this criteria, आपको क्या number चाहिए? What do you need? Let's say हम start करते हैं population of चंडीगढ़ से.
Okay.
That much you can get. Population of Chandigarh is known. वो आपको
Yes.
मिल जाएगा नेट पे.
Yes. Yeah.
कितना होगा? Let's just tell me what is the population of Chandigarh. Anyone who would know what is the population of Chandigarh approximately, like not a GK question, but
It's showing 1 crore 240 lakhs.
no, not 1 crore. That would be Delhi's population. 1 crore 40. Let's say 15 lakh. I think it's 15, 20 lakhs. Let's say 20 lakhs, right? Doesn't matter. Don't go into is it right or wrong. Let's say 20 lakhs is the population of Chandigarh. Now, that's the top number where you are starting. Now, हमें फिर next जो आप whatever criteria you listed out, keep applying. First is gender. Now, gender ratio in Chandigarh is almost 50-50. Is that so? It's not very tweaked to any gender, right?
Yeah.
Which means how many women are there in Chandigarh? 10 lakhs,
10 lakh.
right? Okay.
Yes.
Then what is the age distribution? For Chandigarh. Now, again, if you type in Google, you will get age distribution of India. Broadly, or you can even get the age distribution in urban rural settings separately. So this data, like, you can easily get from some reports.
Okay.
Now let's say age distribution is, say, below 25 or say about 30%. Like, anyways, we say our India, like 65 to 70% of population is below the age of 40 in India, or 35 in India. Which means, let's say if it is evenly distributed between 0 to 40 years, there are about 70% people, which means between 25 to 40, there would be about, what, maybe 30% people, right? So that's again a educated number you can arrive at. So now 30% of 10 lakhs. What's the number? Can you do that calculation?
30%.
Of 10 lakhs. It's out 3 lakhs.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
30% of 10 lakhs is 3 lakhs. Let's say 3 lakh. Now what? Now your next criteria, your next is, say, working population. Again, on Google, you can find this number, that what percentage of women work and what percentage of work. Again, this
Okay.
number is findable, not very difficult. You will have some reports.
Okay.
Let's say 40% of women are working. I think this number, to my knowledge, is around 28-30%. Let's say 30% of women are working and 70% are non-working. So now 30% of 3 lakhs, 90,000, right? So that's your kind of customer segment. And
Okay.
last criteria you said is 1 lakh to 1.5 lakh monthly income. This again you can get if you type what is the income level distribution of population in India, right? What percentage of people are above 1 lakh? So again, this is not very difficult to find. To my knowledge, again, just guessing, it would be around 20% people who would be above 1 lakh monthly kind of income. Now 90,000 ka 20% is about what? 18,000. So this is your number. About 18,000 women in Chandigarh would be in this age, would be working and would be earning more than 1 lakh rupees a month, kind of thing.
Yes.
Understood how you arrive at?
Yes, clearly understood. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Now, you may not know the number which you are looking for, but you can arrive at your number using numbers which are available, which is like age distribution, gender, and all those things. And this could be done in various industries in all formats.
Sure. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Sure. Okay. Any other question? Shall we move forward?
Please go ahead.
Now, what I just explained, these numbers you should also keep handy. Like, this should be your general knowledge. For example, I put up some numbers, like what I was guessing, Dr. Gori. This is how you can arrive. And these are numbers available on internet very easily. Total population of the country, gender distribution, urban rural distribution. For example, you may have needed that how many people in cities live, and they use this product. So you could use urbanization stat. Literacy, you may say my product is relevant only to literate people in rural areas or in urban areas, vice versa. Income level distribution, say internet penetration, mobile penetration. So these are very, very good statistics which are available and they can be applied to arrive at your numbers. Expenditure split. For example, this is a split of what is the typical spend in a Indian family. Like, they spend about 25% on housing, maybe 25% on groceries, 5% on utilities, 10% on transportation, 10% on education, 15% saving. So these are very, very good numbers which are available and you can use them to calculate whatever you are calculating, right? For example, if your product is a discretionary item which people buy only when they have surplus income, it is not a necessity, it is a luxury. Let's say iPhone. Now, for iPhone company, if they want to estimate the market, they also need to understand what is the expenditure split in a family, like what is the discretionary income. If in a country everything which you are earning, you are already spending 80-90% on your necessities, say housing or groceries, then you would not have enough money to buy an iPhone. They would not launch their iPhone in a country where discretionary income is very low. So these are some statistics which are very, very relevant for estimation of sizing of your markets. Another statistics, for example, just look at these numbers. These are these numbers are very handy. New OTT subscribers in India, smartphone users, e-commerce users, digital learning, how many people learn on digital education sites, how many people invest in stock markets, 8 crore, how many people invest in mutual funds, then some geographical and Indian stats. What is the area of India? What is the length of India? How many universities are there in India? How many railway stations are there in India? So all these numbers are available with a quick internet research, and they can be used in various type of calculation for your market sizing. But you must also know some of these very commonly. Broadly, what is said is you should know whatever market you are in, say in India, you should know statistics of the country, India level numbers. You should know statistics of the state, say Punjab. If you're living in Punjab, you should at least be aware of these numbers for Punjab. And you should know at least for Delhi and Mumbai. If you are planning to do a business in India, you should know at least, say, income distribution or age distribution for Delhi and Mumbai. So India, state, and Delhi and Mumbai. These are 4 kind of broad must know kind of thing. Rest, of course, as much you know is better. Okay, now this was how broadly you could do. These were some frameworks which I kind of put here in case you are also analyzing how much profits can I earn, what kind of volume can I play. So these are broad, simple financial frameworks you can use. For example, if you want to know how much profits, you should know revenue and cost. How will you know revenue? You should know average price and volume of units you can sell. Average prices you would decide. How would you know volume? You should know market share and market size. This is what we just learned. And similarly, if you are wanting to know cost, you should know cost of goods, marketing expense, broadly cost distribution which you have. Similarly, you could have, this is a framework to calculate profits. Similarly, you could have framework to calculate, your strategy, whether to outsource, where to buy, source it from, how much to source. So this is regarding your kind of raw material sourcing. You could analyze it on this framework. Okay, coming on to the last slide. Why it is important for you to know these numbers? One, they are very, very logical. They allow you to think logically. Second, you should have common awareness to make reasonable assumptions. Thirdly, you should have ability to break the problem into smaller portion. For example, we broke number of cars in Delhi into customer segments, then each customer segment we calculate separately. And then lastly, to communicate what you have assumed. Because you may have something in your head, but to be able to convince an investor, you should be able to communicate it in a very, very good way. And they are definitely looking at whether you can think logically. What is your general awareness? Do you know enough about your country and your basic mathematical skills? Do you apply correct maths when you are calculating your numbers? Yeah, this is it. This is how you calculate TAM and basic kind of market sizing for your product. Any questions on this? I'm done with this.
How we can calculate that how much market we can capture from this?
See, this will give you how much, what is the total size of the market. Now, how much you can capture is a very specific question which you can answer if you know how many competition, what is the size of competitive rivalry in the market, how many people are playing out, what is your price, is your price very low than the competition, how much is your marketing spend. So there are like that question would get answered if you know many other things about your business. But this method, TAM, is actually to give you a total size of the market. Okay. Any other question?
What is the market risk in this case?
No, so there's no market risk. It's just that if you don't know the correct market, you might have a wrong strategy. If you don't know the market size, or you make a wrong calculation of your market size, then your entire investment or strategy might go wrong. So overall, at the start, it is very risky if you don't know the total market. So that's very important. That's why if you would ever raise funds and you have a pitch deck, the first slide which is always put in any pitch deck is the TAM slide, which is what is the total market opportunity which I'm targeting. So it is very risky to not know your TAM. That's all I can say.
Sir, can you explain briefly sunscreen for SAM and SOM, how to calculate, just maybe in the one line so I can catch?
So I just explained you how to calculate TAM, right? With those numbers, you know how to calculate TAM. Now, SAM and SOM are what? Once you know the total market, so even if I know the total market, it may not be possible for me to reach every customer, right? For example, you say if you are manufacturing sunscreen, maybe you can't supply it in South India. Maybe the transportation cost would be very high and your price would increase, which means you're saying I can't provide it in South India, or maybe you don't have regulatory approval to sell a sunscreen in South India. There could be various reasons why you can only sell it to exposure, or maybe your marketing budget is such that you can only sell it in 100 kilometers of radius. You can't hire more than 3 people in sales, which means you can't sell it in all states. You can only sell it in one state. So there could be various factors which may limit your access to the market, right? Which would then say whatever is your access to the market, you could say this is my SAM. If there is a total 100 units TAM for sunscreen, based on my resources, 30 is my SAM, which is my, I only have access to 30 units because I don't have regulatory approval for other 70 units. And if you further break it down into what are your resources, I have access to 30 units. Say I have access to Punjab market, but I don't have resources to hire a salesperson in every district, which means I can only uh, sell it in 5 districts. So which means your obtainable market would further become certain percentage of SAM. This is how you keep doing it.
Okay, yes. Thank you. Yes, sir, clear.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Will you be able to do it for your product? I mean, the idea is to just enable you to be able to calculate for your own industry. Is that doable for you now?
Yes, but it might take some time for calculations.
Yeah, it will take time, and you will have to find out right information which you will take as an assumption. So it's not like you have to just close your eyes and imagine things. It's not imagination. It's a find out whatever information is rightly available, and based on that you do a little bit of mathematical estimation and arrive at a number. So it's a very, very educated way of scientific way of doing it. It's not, I mean, random, to say that. And this typically is how people do it, most companies, because otherwise nobody would know. I can't really say if I say how many phones are sold in Punjab. I mean, even government would have no data. You can't have any such data available to any company. People, but you can do a little bit of guesstimation around such things.
Good evening, sir. I have a small query. Can you hear
Yeah.
me, sir?
Yes. Good evening. I can hear you.
Sir, isn't it good to have the regulatory approval for the whole country? I mean, for India at a time? Because if my product is a diagnostic product, so naturally I would sell it throughout the country. I mean, that would be the first target to sell this throughout the country. So, is it better to have the regulatory approval for the country itself? And so what would you suggest? This is my first query. And the second query, I have gone through your presentation and I have listened, I have understood. But when I calculate these things, how can how I can make sure that, yes, whatever calculation I have done for my product is right? Can I show these things to you, in future? To make sure, yes, I have calculated this time and all properly. So these are my
Okay.
queries. Thank you so much.
Sure, no problem. To your first question, yeah, if applying for regulatory approval in entire country versus in only one state, if it doesn't impact you in resources, then of course you can go for entire country. So there are two drawbacks. One is it might need you more money. Say if it, because I mean there is an application fee for everything we do in India. So you have to see if you are okay with spending that much money, and you would potentially be able to use that approval. But if you don't need it, like that I will never sell my product in, say, South India or East India or West India, then why would you spend money if you don't need it? That's one. But if you need it and you would like to sell it, please go ahead. And if you have money, that's one. Second, is that it's always to pilot it out on small scale. For example, if you apply for regulatory approval in a state and it gets rejected, you can still improve and go and apply in any other state. But if you apply for entire country and it gets rejected, you may lose out an opportunity to improve and go in any other state. A little bit of, for example, when pharma companies apply for patents, they typically apply in one country at a time, because if the application get rejected, they get to know which are the shortcomings, so they improve those and then go to other countries. Because once your application is rejected, it's very difficult to get it approved, in a while. So you want to just hedge and test it out, and then go with your best version, so that you have high chance of approvals in other places. Yeah, these are the two reasons to my knowledge. Rest, I mean, of course, you can apply it in big geography and get it approved. Second question, yes, when you do an educated guess, you will do an guesstimation. It may be wrong. So you can of course get it validated from some other people, maybe me, if for this approach, maybe. But within that industry, there would be some people who are experts. Maybe you can sound off your number to them, and typically they would be able to give you a idea if it looks right or if it doesn't look right. For example, I work in education. I am working in a university, a higher education space for last 15 years. Now, if somebody will give me some number related to education, say what is the total number of students in university, say somebody is setting up. I don't have exact number, but I can imagine what is definitely not right. I can see. So similarly, talking to some experts in that area, whichever industry you are in, you can get your number validated. And if it sounds wrong to most of them, you can go and check your assumptions or your previous knowledge numbers that you have input and arrive at a correct number. And third, like I said, if your past knowledge is right and you have fairly good calculation, it won't be very wrong. It may be 10-20% upper niche, but it may be right. But yeah, it you can still get it checked. I agree with that.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other question? But do these numbers for you. I mean, if you want, we can maybe later on you can approach me. We can do a little bit of one-on-one session if you want me to comment on your number. But the first is like you should spend time in very, very carefully kind of calculating it for yourself. Okay, we can wrap up then if there are no more questions. Maybe we can close the session.
Sir,
Yes, please. Dr. Sadaf, are you there? Can we close the session if there are no questions?
Yeah, I just heard someone raising their hand. I was just confirming. Is there any other question from
Okay.
anyone?
Sir,
Anyone?
so definitely I will get a doubt once I calculated myself all those things. So can I reach you out if I have any doubt regarding this?
Yeah, sure. I'll type in my email ID in the chat. You can mail me and we can connect. No problem.
Sure. Thank you, sir.
I have put it in the chat. You can mail me when you are ready.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. So we'll request every participant to provide an assignment and make a assessment of total addressable market against your technology. So that's going to be your next assignment. You have to calculate TAM, and then it will be, then you can submit it on Google Classroom. Soon you will see an assignment. Please follow that and keep us updated with your progress. Thank you very much, sir, for such an insightful session. I hope it will profit everybody. So because it's one of the important component in their startup, and a lot of queries were there, and I hope everybody's queries are being addressed. Thank you very much for your valuable time.
Nice meeting you.
Thank everybody. So we should stop the meeting now.
Yeah. Thank you. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, sir.